Today, let's understand about how exactly in AWS, in cloud, how exactly it is. That is nothing but global infrastructure of AWS. Like where exactly or how exactly it is, or we'll also know about like what is availability zone or regions overview, how exactly it is, or how do we need to know. And we'll also be knowing about data center, like how one has to choose the data center in order to, and what are the criteria to be met in order to choose a particular place. So where a data center needs to be, the place for data center establishment. What are the criteria to be looked into? So now it's data center. Then we'll also be knowing about servers and its types. Some networking concepts. Here, so data center and factors for creating. Place for data center. Then networking. What are regions? Availability zones. Availability zones. That is nothing but AZs, because we will be using these keywords, and it's see, it's not something that if a company is moving towards cloud, AWS or Azure, let's just have a hands-on or practically to know how to establish a network or how to create a machine or something. But beforehand or in prior, we have to be aware of like at least some basic overview, like what exactly that particular terminology. So when here we say cloud, obviously there has to be a data center which is being maintained somewhere else, correct? How that is, and how we are able to get the connection, or how the like how it has been made available in such a way that we are able to reach out. And what if disaster would happen where this data center is being established, or in a situation where some disaster might happen unexpectedly, or servers, what happens with the servers, then how to achieve high availability or what to do. So in that cases and all, the terminology is called regions, availability zones, its locations. It is very important to know about these basics terminologies, because when we are opting for a cloud, or like before starting about it, it's better to know the overview or understand what exactly it is, because including practicals, it is also good to be aware of theoretical concepts as well. So I'll be taking up this because in our real-time classes, I'll be starting up with the console, weave, and many more. Along with this, we'll also know about, here it has to come, network, network. Then also have with the types of network. Okay, so now let me start. What is this global infrastructure of AWS? That is nothing but how we are able to get the connectivity, or how exactly it is, or how widely it has been distributed. Let's quickly go here and we'll show you global infrastructure of AWS. See AWS global infrastructure, how exactly it is. This is where actually we'll create the account and we'll know in depth. But This, see here, 36 launch regions, each with multiple availability zones. So that is 114 availability zones and 700 plus cloud front and 13 regional edge caches. These are something very important to know, because when we create an instance, we'll say in which region we want to. Tomorrow I'll show, while when I log in into the console, and we'll walk you through the overview, and along with that a complete picture of how exactly it will be. Okay. Now, what are those regions? As it says, a location, like it's a geographically separated areas. So in each region, see, first it comes region. Region in the sense like India or US, or North Virginia, or Oregon, Ohio, etc. So these are regions. Regions means a geographically separated areas. That means in terms of geographical boundaries. So these we call it as regions. And what each, can see something here, each 36 launch regions, each with multiple availability zones. That means availability zones means where exactly the data centers will be located. In region, we do have AZ. AZ means it's availability zone. That means it's an isolated data center with the region. Right now, let's think, uh, I mean, in India, let's take in India. So in one region, there should be multiple availability zones. Minimum, it should be two availability zones. Why two availability zones? Because a server has to have a backup. Correct. If some unexpected disaster might happen, then definitely it has to be, like, to act as a backup so that the services would run. Just let's think of what happens if on a big billion day shopping, or any on the normal day, we all might have experienced, even in our real-time organizations, even if the power, or if a network is down for at least 10 to 20 seconds, there is a huge loss, right? Because that is what I actually experience in every day. you know Users would just establish a mi call stating that server is unreachable, or it is down, we are unable to get the response, it's urgent. And within that particular 20 minutes, because for usually for priority one, or for high level, for priority one, usually it would be resolution should happen within or 20 to 30 minutes duration, but it should be solved as soon as possible. But still, the thing is, there will be a huge loss, even for 10 seconds or 20 seconds. So in order to avoid that, one should have a multiple availability zones in a region. And how that is? In one region, minimum two. So minimum two availability zones, and it should be physically separate. That is, it should be, there is a criteria such that there should be some miles apart. That means, now let's think, I have a data center, we have a data center, and within next 10 kilometer, I have another one. No. Why? Because, like what happens? Because if you choose in that way, like only 100 kilometers apart or something, if something would happen, usually that particular area would get affected. So the data center should be placed in such a way that they should be, some miles apart. And also, there should be a condition in such a way that good power, good networking, and cooling, and everything is required. Because when we say data center, obviously it is something like, the complete, because we all already know that data center. It is something like this, wherein, there should be a dedicated room for that. And completely we have to, like, enable all the cooling systems on network switches and everything. So that is how, we have to make sure that it is in such a way. And availability zone would be in such a way, example I can give, we will know this when we start to do exercise. In US region, we do have US is 1A. That means you can choose your the required availability zone, 1B or 1C, like that. It is not mandatory that we have to choose, like the complete, the one, only one. So we have to choose either 1A or 1B or 1C, depending on our requirement and the service availability. And one question where, in our India, we do have our AWS data center located in, in Mumbai. We have Asia Pacific Mumbai. That means the name itself, like Asia Pacific, then it's something like Mumbai. And also recently, that is 2022, they have launched in Hyderabad. That is a new one. Earlier, it was only in Mumbai. Only in Mumbai. Now it is on Hyderabad as well. Hyderabad. And in Mumbai, it was something 2016. And they have 3 availability zone. But here in Hyderabad, they have, as I said, minimum is 2. They have 3 availability zones. So those are, like, main regions, AWS regions. And if you ask for the local zone, it is something like addition to the primary regions, they have local zones in major cities. For example, like Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, and in Bangalore, they are, like, planned, but they are yet to do that. Okay. So why? That is how we are getting the services. Now, if I choose for US East 1A, then what if latency would be there? No. Why? Because we do have, the even if they are apart, miles apart, we are able to get the services provided because of network establishment. That's one of the things. So now we have known about, I have explained about this regions and multiple availabilities or availability zones. And what is this cloud front? And what are the regional edge caches? Yes, I have told you, right, how we are able to get the services, even though if they are miles apart via network. How? It is because edge caches. Yesterday, I have even given the example of Netflix or Prime Video, right? The very first time when we weave that, it would be something, it will take some seconds to load. But when it is, when we are resuming or visiting that particular site again, it is something we say cache or cookies, but here it's something regional edge caches. That means, as I have told you, right, local zones or nearest regions. For me, if you ask me what is the nearest region for us, it's Mumbai, correct? Asia Pacific Mumbai. So that's the near one. So that is why we are able to get the service. And what is this cloud front? What is this 700 plus cloud? We do have this concept in our real-time classes as well. It's content delivery network. Content delivery network. How exactly it is? It helps us deliver the content with low latency and higher transfer rate. As I have told, how exactly, we are able to get the services because via cloud front. That means we do have, they have, feature like edge network. They'll use edge locations. I have told now the region is Mumbai, but what are the edge locations that I have? Like Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Hyderabad. Correct. So for me, which is near? If I'm based out of Bangalore, then which would be near Hyderabad or Bangalore as well. If not available in Bangalore, then it's something Hyderabad. So they have like edge locations. Edge locations means the nearest locations from where we are able to get the services, and how faster it is via these concepts like edge locations and via CloudFront. So they'll have a caches, and also they have some static contents, and dynamic contents will be loaded from Lambda. Lambda is a serverless services wherein it will take only few seconds to just generate the output or generate the content. And that examples would be video streamings or IP accelerations or softwares or these and also to deliver static websites. So when I hit on a particular website, what if they have static content to be loaded? Then this CloudFront or CDN, that is content delivery network, that is where it will be useful. Okay, so that is something with respect to this a global infrastructure of AWS. That means we have varieties of regions, availability zones. As you can see here, where are we? See, this is entire complete globe. So in Europe, we have 3 availability zones and 2 local zones. See, in Mumbai, three availability zones and 2 local zones. Hyderabad, 3 availability zones. That's it, no local zone. For India, we have local zone of Delhi, Hyderabad, Mumbai. Here in Sydney, they have 2 local zone. It is like that. So, they'll just see how many it has. Like red means it's coming soon. And 42 local zones and so on. So, yeah. So now let's go to how one has to choose for data center. Like what are the criteria to be considered in order to choose the area for data center establishment? Can you just tell me if you are aware of some points? First, it should be something like network connectivity. That is, it should be have high availability of fiber connections or low latency access, and also for the internet exchange points, so that the network with a good bandwidth, and so good bandwidth and rate of speed. We have to consider the power supply as well. That is where exactly the electrical grids can be established, and lower electricity cost, or where there will be redundant power sources, and also renewable energy, because that is the most criteria, because this AWS is providing a complete the services to the entire globe. So it has to make sure that for better or best optimization. And we have to choose for climate conditions or environmental risks. Climate or environmental risks. Why this is necessary? Do they establish the data center in Japan? So we all know that Japan, I mean, earlier it was meant for earthquake, the place for earthquake. But what if they have established a data center? Then definitely it's something vanished, completely vanished. So one has to consider how safe it is. What happened in last 60 years? In last 60 years, how many times the earthquake has happened in that particular place, or how exactly it is? So we all say cloud, but in order to store the data over the, we end users will store the data, or we will access and we'll get the services. But how are we getting it? Via data center. They have a server being maintained, as I have shown here, and from where we'll get the services being delivered. So in order to choose a place for data center establishment, one has to consider the climate, like how often or how frequent the flood had happened in that place. any cyclones or hurricanes. And what exactly? So it's not about only last year, they'll consider almost for 60 years. In 60 years, what and all has happened. Then obviously security is a main consideration one has to think about. See, I'm explaining about this because in our real-time classes, we'll just directly go about cloud. And that is why we have this demo session wherein like yesterday I had given you about the syllabus or something. Today, an overview about this cloud or how exactly the infra is. We all might be already aware, but when it comes to this AWS and why are we using or opting for AWS? That is what we have to know or we have to be aware how advantage it is. We do have other cloud service providers, but why is this? Why Amazon is taking on a top? And even to whatever they use, Alexa or Prime or anything that is for shopping as well. Every concept is making utilization here. That is, if you say Amazon, I mean load balancer, obviously we'll be having that load balancer. So when the user hit a number of requests, how it is distributed, we'll also have experiment everything. So it is something, it's not in reality on a production servers we are doing, but we are testing here in our environment. It is exactly the same thing. Whatever we are we work in this, it is exactly the same thing even in real time. The only difference is there we work on production environment, but whatever the launching or anything we configure, it is via this AWS account. Okay. And security is one of the main consideration because how exactly the political stability or a physical security or any war zone. Can we just keep the data center near Kashmir, India? I mean, near Kashmir or Indo-Pak border or something? No, because one has to consider all this. Also to know about the legal factors, like if that place, I mean, that particular land is suitable or any what will say any laws or any tax breaks or government incentives, and also cost considerations, like what's the cost of the land, is it suitable to establish over there, or is it something meant for or dedicated for other purpose, or any long-term operational cost to be incurred for that, or how about for energy maintenance. And also one has to choose about, I mean, look into about expansions, how widely they can expand in future, because it is not that once they have established, it is done. No, how they have to think about future days as well, how to expand this further or potential and for future growth. And scalability of the network and power, because obviously, yes, when there is some what do I say, when there is a need for extra, then how they'll choose that. So they have to consider all this criteria, and then only they'll be choosing the place. Now, I mean, we all aware of servers, and just now I have shown you what is a server. Okay, so exactly, it is a data center. And inside that data center, what do we have? See, these are servers. These are servers. They have been placed like this. I shall tell you what exactly it is. It is something like, it will be in terms of tower, rack, blade, or storage. Blade, see right now, this is a server. It is in terms of, and can you see here? Wait, I shall show you blade, server, image. See, can you see? Yeah. What exactly it is? It is a complete server. Right now, it is a complete server. And what exactly? These are racks. Rack wise, we are keeping it, right? Here, one rack, second, third, fourth. And what is this blade? The guy who is holding this in terms of blade. And we are storing it here. we are pushing it. So in blades, this is what is. And also you can see there are, wires and cables being here. Why? In order to establish a network. Just a minute. Sorry. Yeah. So these are in terms of blade. And as you can see, we have here a number of cables because in order to establish the connection. I can show you one more image. Let's. mm, See, these are racks. I'm just showing in general. There it was, a blade specifically. Here it is rack. Rack wise, they are storing. And they have here cables being connected because obviously everything should be interconnected. Okay. Yeah. Now let's go for types of servers. First of all, why do we need server? Why do we need? Because it is a centralized one wherein we'll get the resources or services being delivered from that, wherein it will have all the data in it. And it acts like it's not that acts like it is a centralized repo, I can say. And it is also used for web hosting. Only if there is a server, then only we'll get a response, correct? Otherwise, no. What exactly I can say? It provides services to other computers or via network. And what exactly, the types are? We do have web server and database server, web server for hosting websites like Apache Nginx or something, because we do have a concept called web hosting. In that, where we launch a web server and we'll access the various applications. Then we do have database server, web, web server, DB server, application server, file server, that is where we'll play with storage and managing the files or sharing of files over a network. Mail server for mail exchange or something. DNS server for hostname resolution. Gaming's game server for dedicated for games. So we all aware, and what are these servers are something dedicated for a particular uses. Now let's come on to the network. What exactly it is network? Will connect to or more devices. Will connect to or more devices via network. Sorry, via through a media. Through a media, that is via network. And what are the types of network? That is, and we are also aware of it is either wired or wireless. Wireless or wired. Now, one question, how are we able to get the response from the server, even if it is located in US or something? How are we able to get that? It is via they have established like this a submarine cables. Where did I go? So let me come back. Yeah, this is how we get wireless. Obviously, we can't, right? Are we able to get? Definitely, there should be a media that is medium to get the connection. So underwater communication cable. So this is how exactly a connection fiber optic. This is how we'll get the connection being established. Okay. And obviously, types of network, we are well aware of local area, wide area, and metropolitan area. It is something with respect to local for intended for locally. That is, our home network. And wide, it is something for wider, where we can access globally via wireless medium. This LAN is something limited only for the office or for the home or for a particular building. But whereas with respect to WAN, it's something wider area network and it covers almost the larger geographical areas. And coming to the MAN, that is metropolitan area network, it is something for that covers a particular city or like, for example, for a company or a government or that particular area will be reserved for the same. So for example, it's like a Wi-Fi or for a entire college or a university, like that. And here the terminology would be something that we also have about when we say network, we do have IPv4, IPv6, subnet, classes, subnetting. What exactly that does that mean? Even in Linux, we do have this concept of IPv4, IPv6, and networking and VPC. We'll be using this. And yesterday also I have mentioned that we do have virtual private network, how exactly we connect. So after this, I'll just show you a demo for today and for tomorrow as well. So what is this IPv4? It's like it's a 32-bit longer, and we'll get an IP once whenever we launch a virtual machine, and it will be in terms of like 1 bit, 8 bits is equal to 1 byte. 8 bits equal to 1 byte, and in IPv4 something 128-bit, and it will be having a mixed characters like numerical and alphabetical. It's like hexadecimal format. What are the classes we have? Even in the real time, I'll explain that in depth. What are IPv4, how or what are IPv6, what are the advantages? And here in this classes, we do have class A, class B, class C, class D, class E. This is very important to know because whenever we say, okay, let me quickly launch my EC2 machine. Okay, right now I already have my account, which is already been registered for me. I'll quickly stop sharing my screen. I'll enter my credentials. Stop sharing. Okay, just a moment. Mhm. So that is how the window looks. Okay. Wait, I just show here 06. I'm sharing my screen again. So right now, I mean, I have logged into this. I have logged into this AWS console. Okay, so I already have an account I have created, and I have some virtual machines being created, but it's in stop state because I have stopped it. Tomorrow I'll just walk you through all the domains we do have here, and see here the regions are. I have told you, right? In US we do have, this is a region. In US we do have availability zones with respect Ohio, California, Oregon, North Virginia, and our Asia Pacific. Exactly, we had Mumbai. For us, for me, if you ask me, this is the nearest one. It's not something that if I choose Mumbai, I'll get the services, or I can launch a machine within seconds. Or what if I have chosen United States, then it will take some time. No, no, no. The time, whatever it takes, that is obviously the same timings. And in this free tier account, I can guide you once we start the real classes, like how exactly to create the account. And as this is a free tier eligibility based one, see, only 15 regions are, I mean, 15 regions that are not enabled. As I have told earlier, this is something limited, wherein some set of services are not available in a particular region. That is why we have to choose that particular region based upon a service. And this is the student free trial account. So right now I'm in this US Ohio region, and I'm able to create virtual machines, and I actually can do that. Let me just take you quickly, see how exactly it looks. If you want, I can show with, as I have told, what is cloud? Collection of domains, correct? How come it is collection of domains? See, I'll just click on, okay, let's not go with this. And there are n number of resources. If you ask me what are domains, analytics, application integration, blockchain, business, financial, compute. See, this is what? Compute. And inside the compute, I have this EC2, and this is where, that is Elastic Cloud Compute. This is where I'll be creating my EC2 instance. And under compute only, we have this Lambda, Elastic Beam Stack. So it takes very, I mean, hell lot of time to go through everything. And it is not something that you have to be aware of all the domains. No, it is not something like that. We have to make sure that we know the basic, intermediate, and a bit advanced level, wherein for every day we'll be using it. Okay. So we do have databases, and that's what I have told. See here, networking and content delivery, CloudFront, Route 53. This is one of the main thing that we'll actually do. We'll buy a domain, we'll purchase a domain, we'll have our own web server being like installed, so that instead of every time going with the IP, we'll just have, see, right now, if I want to access this machine, it has to be something via this IP. Whenever I have to do, yeah, I have to take this public IP, and then only I can just put up here. Right now, there won't be any connection because I don't have any servers being installed. It is just a blank virtual machine. Hence, the output, I mean, I won't be able to establish the connection. But we can able to connect to this machine using, I mean, a CLI based via Windows partial or open, putty. Tomorrow we will have a demo session or a hands-on session on how exactly launching a machine and where the IPs would be. Okay. And see, I was talking about this IP address classes A, B, C, D. Right now, sorry, 1 minute. Instance summary. See, right now it is in public IPv4 that is starting with 18. Now, I mean, they might ask for under class. I mean, that IP would come under which class? And someone tell me, obviously it is A. Why? Because under A, we have from 1.0.0.0 until 126. 26.0.0.0. And class B, we do have from 128.0.0.0 until 191. That is 191.0. Sorry, that is 255. .0.0. So how many IPs would be generated? It's too long. And class A would start from 192. What if my IP is 170.16? You might have experienced in your organizations. Sometime you have that, you always will have an IP. Always, it's not always, most of the times we'll see the IPs in terms of 172, 17 series. That is 170 series or 190 series. Correct? Obviously, yes. If it is below 191, then obviously it belongs to class B. So most of the times or a wider usage would be something with respect to class B and class C. Those are some, widely used. Even now you can see what's the private IP of my instance. It's 172. So which class would that belong to? Obviously it's class B. It's 192 dot until 233. 255 dot J and class D. Most of the times this class D and E are not are not used because they are meant for research and broadcast, I mean research purpose and for space. That is why we always go with class A, B, C. And for D, it is something 224 to 240, 239. And for class E, it starts with 240 to 255. So the last is ultimately 255 dot 255 dot 255 dot 255. So only until 250, that is 0 to 255. That's it. So only 256 numbers that can be used. What is this subnet? Even in our VPC, I'll just quickly take you here. Okay, let me launch. I won't launch, I'll be showing. I have to give the name. Then here I'll have to choose the required operating system, either Amazon Linux, Amazon-based Linux, or Mac, Ubuntu, Windows, or RHL-based, SUSE, or any Debian-based other. And no, we'll know this in depth when we start our class. That is instant type family. Why do we need to choose? What is this micro means? What is this nano? What are this small, medium, large? As you can see, there is something like free tier. So as this is for our this is for our student purpose and it's a free tier eligible account. For our exercises, I'll be we'll be choosing with this only. There is no requirement of such that I have to choose higher level. Can you see the name T2 Micro? What it has? It has 1 core CPU, 1 GB of memory. But if you exceed the current hour, then it will be chargeable. I'll guide you how, how to make sure that we are not crossing the limits in terms of this utilizing for free AWS services. Yeah. And can you see this T2 Nano is something, it's not free tier eligible. And we should not think in terms of, okay, here it is one CPU, here also one CPU, but nano means it is very small. Why do we have, why it is not free or something? That is being totally allocated or given or described by this AWS. Nano is obviously less, but it will be charged if we go for it. So we have to make sure we are utilizing only free tier. Micro, yes, free. If you opt for small, then see we have 1 core CPU and 2 GB memory. And they have also given, if you opt for it, then how much you will be charged. So in terms of USD, will be charged per hour. It's an hour basis. And medium, if you choose, it's 4 GB. T2 large, 8 GB. X2, T2 X large, 16 GB memory. Like when we need to have some analytical or gaming related stuff, then obviously one has to choose depending on the same. In our real time, suppose you think this is a production account. Example, it's a production one. As Mohit or somebody have told about they are moving towards AWS, then obviously they'll be using of it. And in that cases, there won't be as such like free tier or something because that would be a corporate account. And obviously in real time, they'll choose, something like very, very, very big. See, CG. And one more thing, here the name comes with T2. We have separate families here. I mean, instance family, that is T2. So in which series would come? And C series means what? C5. Okay. The dot C means under which series it would come. And what are the difference with that? And see here 64 virtual CPU, virtual, and the 128 GB of RAM it is. So in real time, company would be using other instance family. Okay. And here key pair, because obviously in order to connect, these are key pair that I have already installed because for everyday classes. So I can generate a new key pair upon launching my instance, or I can use the existing one. And here comes the concept of networking. How exactly it is? We can edit our own network as well. Suppose you think, now I have shown you, right? The IP what I have got is this 18 series. The private IP I have got is 172. It's a public IP. 18 is public IP, but my private IP was showing with 172. Where exactly my cursor is? 1 minute. I'm unable to see. Yeah. See, it is a default VPC. Means we do have, but I would like to show you something. Not here. Yeah. See, here in this dashboard, we have everything. And let's see. Whenever you create a virtual machine, there will be something. There will be a default subnet, default route table, default internet gateway, default ACLs, default security group. Because it is something when tomorrow I shall show you. I'll just quickly, I won't edit anything. I'll just launch an instance just like that. See, right now I didn't do anything. I just clicked on modify. So I'm able to get this. Otherwise, under this default VPC, whatever the IP have been allocated, we will get that. Otherwise, if we want to have our own VPC, then definitely we have to create our own VPC. Okay, create VPC, and we have to define what if I need to have an IP generated in such a way that, now let's think we four are from a single team, part of a single team. So I need to have an IP generated with class B or class A. Okay, let's think about class B. And I also want the IPs to be generated within from 172.0.0.0 something to 172.255 or 173 or 4, something like that. Then we can create a VPC, and on that we can choose our subnet preference. What is that subnet? It will divide a larger network into smaller. Obviously, we know the definition of that. But again, how? We'll reduce a broadcast. I mean, example, if at all, if we have, in order to make sure that we are utilizing the IPs efficiently. For example, right now, my VPC will be created under 192.168.1.0. And let's think we are only we have 200 people 200 users in a team, or 150 users in a team. Now I want that I want my VPC to be in this, and let me just divide my subnet. How do I divide the subnet? It's with slash 24 or something, so that network IP and host IP. So now this is 8, 8, 8 was a 16, 8 is a 24. Now if I restrict it to 24, then obviously these three will be reserved. That is 192.168.1 will be reserved. And now we will get the IPs in such a way that from, let's ignore for 1 because that's for gateway, from 2 to 255. I have to include 255, exclude 255 as well, because that will be for one is for router and one for gateway and one for broadcast. So I need to exclude that. So from 2 to 254, I'll get the IP. And how the IP will be, it will be 192.168.1.2 or 1.3 or 1.10. We might get any IPs, but if we choose that, I need the IP from my virtual customized virtual private network, and from that particular subnet, then obviously we'll get the IPs in our own customized way. And that is what we are dividing it. And this is something CIDR notation. That is classless interless domain routing.
Sorry, not able to understand this.
Sorry. Are you aware of networking concept in Linux or networking?
Yes, I am little bit aware of networking concept like IPv4, IPv6 subnet. I am aware of it, but this CIDR, which you are telling me,
CIDR, yeah, I shall just tell you.
but
This is something.
It is a little bit complex. Not able to understand.
Yeah. See,
Yes.
let me tell you something. Even when I was a novice, when I just entered, even that was something, networking was not my cup of tea. I was like, I was hating it because of these reasons.
Okay.
So this CIDR, that is classless inter-domain routing. That means we'll have a IP address / prefix length. Right now, I'm limiting it to only 24 bits. That means 8 ones are, 8 twos are, 8 threes are 24. That is what is IPv4, right? 888. That is how 32 bits. Out of 32 bits, I'm limiting 24 bits. I'm reserving it. So prefix, it has to be reserved. So whatever the IPs I'll get it from 192.168.1. It will be 1, okay? And until when 192.168.1.255. But here it starts from 1.0. So whatever the IPs I'll get, it will be in this range. That means, suppose you think now I have an organization, I have only 200 users. That's it. I don't procure anymore. I don't want to recruit anymore. I don't want to have, I just don't want to procure any machines or resources anymore. I just have only 200. Simply having an VPC, just like that, at least if at all, if I don't use the IPs, that should be useful for others as well, right? So how do you make sure, indirect they'll ask, even in company, what organizations would expect from us? How better or better optimization or best optimization or cost cutting. That is what they look into. They'll tell you, create a VPC, get a subnet, and make these virtual machines to get the IPs in such a, like, I want class B IP addresses to be allocated for all the virtual machines which I launch in this particular region. They'll just tell you, and what we will do, we'll create a virtual VPC, we'll create a subnet, and we'll just say, yeah, the IPs are generating. But we have to make sure that IPs will not be misused or will not be wasted. In that case, how do you make efficient? Via this classless IP or CIDR notation. That is, we are prefixing the length. Suppose you think, no, I don't have what I'll say, I have how many users I say. Let's now just ignore this. It was 16. What if I limit to 16 bits? That means I'll have IP in such a way that 192.168 will be reserved. And here also 192.160 means starting 2 bytes will be reserved. That means 8 ones are 8, 8 twos are 16. So this 16 bits will be reserved, and whosoever will get the IP, they'll get like 1.0, 1.1, and it continues, okay, 1.2 until where 255, sorry, 192.168.255.255. And as these bits are reserved, then the number goes with 192, 168. Then the series starts with 2. So that is how from 1.0 until 1.1 to 255. Then 2.0 to 255. Then 168.3.0 until 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and 3.255. Then how many IPs we have? We have got almost like more than a lakh IPs. So we have to choose our IPs in such a way, and we have to define this, have this classless IP, notation or classless integration in order to make sure that IPs will not be wasted and it will be so that it will be reused by someone else. Okay, we'll understand this when I literally, because it is not something, if I just go and explain it now, you will not understand, because upon launching an instance and when we practice about having an IP, how exactly it is coming or where exactly it is coming, and what if I disable this option, auto send public IP, if I disable, then I won't be able to connect to internet. But still, how will I get the public IP? Via concept of EIP, that is elastic IP, how will I achieve? So these are something we'll be knowing about it. And what are the security groups? I'll be allowing only that particular port.
Okay,
How?
and can you, just a minute, can you explain the difference between public IP and private IP?
Okay, so wait, where is my, let me just go to instance now. I do have a concept of a networking class, in this AWS only.
Okay.
Once we are aware of this, what do I say? Launching an instance or something. Wait, I shall give you the. Can you see here IP, public and private?
Yes, yes.
Private is something that is reserved only for my instance. For this DevOps, this is the name I have given to my instance. This is a Ubuntu based. It is running. And here it is something where if I just give this IP to the internet, then it won't happen. That means it is locally, only private. It is not a public. It's not widely accessible. So if you want to communicate, for example, I launch a web server. Okay. I launch a machine. I launch a Tomcat web server or Nginx web server. Then I'll ask you all to access. How will you access? Via public IP only, not via private IP. It is used for my local network, not for, it is not something that is actually reachable from the internet. You just can't connect using my private IP, only via public IP. Even in our office, for example, only when we are connected, whenever we enter our office, automatically we'll be connected to the domain, right? Where there is no requirement for authentication, manual authentication in order to log in into the laptop. That is what but when I'm at home, I have to authenticate it manually because of IP, because I'm into that network. It is as simple as that. What is this private IP, public IP means? Public is something that is being widely or globally accessible. And if I have this IP, and if you create your machine or launch a machine, you will not have the same IP. Right now, this is for me. This is allocated for my machine, both the IPs. And this IP is something assigned by our Amazon Web Service. Please note this. This public IP is not assigned by me. It is assigned from our cloud service provider. Now, let me tell you, we all use Wi-Fi, right? I'll take another 2 minutes. We all have a Wi-Fi. How are you getting the IP? Because we have a router cable being established, then I have my own IP, via which I'll be now, even now I have this Wi-Fi connection with me. How will I be able to? Because my router has an IP and that is only for me. And which IP is that? Public IP. Public IP. From the router, what I'm getting, outside my home, the connection which I got, that is a public IP. Then what is this, my router IP? It is dedicated only for me and local, and that is my private IP. So you got the difference?
Yes, yes, I got the difference. Yes.
Okay. See, this Wi-Fi, see, this is provided by Amazon now. But this Wi-Fi, sorry, this IP, may I know where it is coming from? It is from my router. You can check what is your IP in your, if you are at home, what is your router? I mean, what's your router IP is, and if you connect to the, if you are connected to the Wi-Fi, then you will know which class you are and what IP you are actually getting. So tomorrow I'll just show you how are we launching it or how exactly it is.
Okay. You will start from EC2 or from this
EC2.
EC2 or VPC first?
EC2. Because first we have to know how do we launch an instance. We'll know what are the instance types. See, I'll just I'll just walk you through. That is what tomorrow my goal is to move completely for practicals. What exactly it is, what it is mean, or where are we creating the account, and how, what are the uses of this, and this is all what we gonna learn. We'll go for compute. Then see, these are something without basics we just can't jump to all this. First, we have to know how do we launch an instance and how do we able to log in. Then we'll move on how to, like make or, make that particular server available or not available, or, limiting the conditions to access. Then we'll come into the concept of VPC, subnet, and IP. Then we will go with VPC peering. Because if I just directly go into that concept, it is not something in a flow, correct? Obviously, yes. So that is why I have already a syllabus and contents been ready. We'll go one by one. How do we delete? Because first and foremost thing is that is what we have to know. How to launch an instance? How do we make sure we have to, take only that particular region one? Or how, what's the use of keys, public key and private key, why it is required, why should I need to? Because in our laptops and all, we have a password. But here we'll be using with, yes, obviously we can give password based login. Even that concept also we have password based and passwordless based login. So if you ask passwordless based authentication, it is via keys. We all are aware, right? Even in our Gmail, we do have pass keys. Authentication method, those are all passwordless based authentication. How are we achieving it? That is what we're gonna practice here as well. We're gonna experiment here. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So tomorrow I no theory. I'll just guide you. I'll just walk you through here. We'll have some sample experimentations, not in depth, because if at all, if I just go on, but if I want to show you, then obviously, yes, I'll take one, we'll have like how to launch an EC2 instance, and then how do I disable the public IP, or how do I make it static? And also we'll see a basic web server hosting. Like if I give this IP right now, I have given this IP, but it is throwing me an error. But what if I want this IP to right now we all will be accessing Netflix, Prime Video or everything, right? How exactly you're getting? And if I hit this IP, I need to get a Netflix page. I mean, I have to have my own website. How am I getting it? We'll achieve that tomorrow. It's so simple. But now it is throwing error because no server is running. It's only a machine. That is why. Okay, we'll know about it tomorrow. So tomorrow it's only for practical session. So please join. Tomorrow is the third day and final day of our demo session. Also make sure that if you are, if you have any queries, you can reach out to the number which is being provided in the chat window for the institute. And after tomorrow, the link will be changed because real-time classes will be started from Wednesday. And
Okay.
we'll posted if anything. Okay. So we'll catch up tomorrow. If nothing's for the day, are we good to wind up?
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for joining. Have a great day. Please do connect tomorrow as well. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Molly.